Taiyang stood at the viewing window and stared at the massive space station ahead. The Celestial Academy floated in the darkness like a small city made of metal and glass. Lights blinked across its surface, and ships moved in and out of its docking bays like insects around a hive. He had traveled 3 months to get here from Earth. 3 months alone on a transport ship, watching his home planet shrink to a blue dot and then disappear. The pilot's voice came through the speaker. Docking in 10 minutes. Welcome to Celestial Academy, human. Taiyang picked up his single bag. Everything he owned was inside. He looked down at his hands and saw the scars there, white lines against his brown skin. Some were small. Some were long. Each one had a story. Each one had hurt. He pulled his sleeves down a little, though they didn't cover much. The docking was smooth. The doors opened with a hiss, and Taiyang stepped into the station. The air was different here. Cleaner. Safer. It smelled like recycled air and metal. Not like Earth, where the air carried the scent of rain, dirt, and growing things. Not like home, where danger hid in every shadow. The main hall was enormous. The ceiling stretched up so high that Taiyang couldn't see the top. Students walked everywhere, talking in groups, carrying data pads and books. But they weren't human. A tall creature with blue skin and 4 arms passed by. A small floating being that glowed softly drifted past. 2 students with scaled skin and tails sat on a bench. Everyone stopped and stared at Taiyang. He kept walking. He had learned long ago that showing fear only made things worse. His boots clicked on the smooth floor as he headed toward the registration desk. A woman sat there, her skin pale green and her eyes large and black. She smiled when she saw him. "You must be Taiyang. From Earth?" Her voice was kind. "Yes," Taiyang said. She typed something on her screen. "You're a 3rd human this year. That's a record. Your room assignment is on level 7, section blue. Your schedule is downloaded to your datapad. Classes start tomorrow." She paused, then added quietly, "Good luck." Taiyang nodded and took the pad she offered. He wondered why she said good luck like that, like he would need it for something more than just classes. The walk to his room took 20 minutes. The hallways were wide and clean. Everything was organized. Everything was safe. It felt strange. On Earth, nothing was ever completely safe. Even in cities, even in homes, danger could find you. Weather, animals, accidents, fire, floods. Earth didn't let you forget it could kill you. His room was small but comfortable. 1 bed, 1 desk, 1 window showing the stars. Taiyang sat on the bed and felt how soft it was. Too soft. He would probably sleep on the floor until he got used to it. A knock on the door made him turn. A girl stood there, human like him. She was older, maybe 18, with short black hair and careful eyes. She wore long sleeves and pants that covered every inch of her skin. "I'm Nari," she said. "2nd year." I heard another human arrived. Taiyang. She came in without being invited and sat at his desk. "Let me give you some advice. Keep your head down. Don't draw attention. Don't talk about Earth unless someone asks, and even then, keep it short." "Why?" Nari pulled up her sleeve just a little. Taiyang saw a scar there, a burn mark that looked old. She pulled the sleeve back down quickly. "Because we're from a death world. Class 12. Do you know what that means?" "I know Earth is dangerous. It's more than dangerous. It's one of the worst planets in the galaxy for life. Most species here come from planets where the weather is gentle, where predators are rare or small, where you don't have earthquakes or hurricanes or wildfires. They don't understand what it's like to grow up on a world that's constantly trying to kill you." Taiyang looked at his own hands again. The scars seemed darker in the station's bright light. "They'll stare," Nari continued. "They'll whisper. Some will be curious. Some will be scared. And some will be cruel. She stood up. Just remember, you don't owe anyone your story. Those scars are yours. After she left, Taiyang unpacked his bag. He put his few clothes in the drawer. He set up his datapad on the desk. Then he lay on the floor and looked at the ceiling. It was so quiet here. No wind, no rain, no sounds of life. Just the hum of machines keeping him alive in the void of space. The next morning, Taiyang found the dining hall. It was crowded and loud. He got food from the dispenser, stuff that was supposed to taste like Earth food, but didn't quite match. He found an empty table in the corner and sat alone. Other students glanced at him as they passed. He heard whispers. That's the human. Look at his face. Is that a scar? How did he get so many? A group of students sat at the table next to him. One of them was tall with skin that looked like crystal, reflecting the light in rainbow colors. His name tag said Voron. He was laughing with his friends, but his eyes kept moving to Taiyang. I heard humans heal slow, Voron said, loud enough for Taiyang to hear. Must be why they keep all those marks. His friends laughed. One of them, a small red-skinned being, added, maybe they just fight a lot. Primitive species usually do. Taiyang kept eating. The food tasted like cardboard, but he finished it. He had learned not to waste food. Voron stood up and walked over. He towered over Taiyang, his crystal skin glittering. Hey, human. I'm talking about you. Taiyang looked up slowly. He met Voron's eyes and didn't look away. Those scars, Voron said, pointing at Taiyang's face. Did you get in a lot of fights? Or are you just clumsy? Neither, Taiyang said. Then what? Tell us the story. I'm curious. The other students at nearby tables had gone quiet. Everyone was listening now. Taiyang could feel their eyes on him. They're from Earth, Taiyang said simply. Earth, Voron repeated, like the word was funny. Right, the scary Deathworld. I read about it. Lots of water. Lots of storms. Must be hard being so weak that your own planet hurts you. Taiyang said nothing. He picked up his tray and stood. Voron was taller, but Taiyang didn't step back. He walked around the crystal boy and headed for the recycling station. That's it? Voron called after him. No response? Maybe the stories are wrong. Maybe humans aren't tough at all. Taiyang put his tray in the recycler and left the dining hall. Behind him, he heard laughter. But he also heard something else. Silence from some of the students. Confusion. They expected him to react. To get angry. To fight or run. He didn't either. Later, in his first class, Taiyang sat in the back. The teacher, an elderly being with tentacles instead of arms, talked about mathematics. It was interesting, and Taiyang took notes. But he felt eyes on him the whole time. When class ended, a girl approached him. She was human, with long black hair tied back. I'm Hannah, she said. Third human this year. Did Nari find you? Yes. Good. Did you meet Voron yet? This morning. Hannah sighed. Of course. Listen, he's the worst one here. His family is important in the Keltharian government. He thinks he owns the place. Just avoid him. I will, Taiyang said. But as he walked to his next class, he knew avoiding Voron wouldn't be enough. The crystal boy had already decided that Taiyang was a target. And on Earth, Taiyang had learned that predators never stopped hunting until something made them stop. He touched the scar on his neck, the one that had almost killed him when he was 14. A riptide had pulled him under, dragged him across rocks, and left him bleeding on a beach. He survived by refusing to give up. By refusing to drown, he would survive this too. The xenobiology classroom was different from any classroom Taiyang had seen on Earth. The walls showed images of different planets, rotating slowly. Strange plants and animals from across the galaxy appeared and disappeared in holographic displays. The teacher was a being called Professor Thax, who had 6 legs and spoke with a clicking sound between his words. "Today we discuss evolutionary adaptation," Professor Thax announced. "How species change based on their home environments." Tai Yang sat in his usual spot in the back. Nari sat 2 rows ahead, and Hannah was on the other side of the room. The other 20 students were all aliens. Some took notes on datapads. Others recorded the lecture with devices Tai Yang didn't recognize. Professor Thax brought up an image of a peaceful-looking planet with pink skies. "This is Kelthera, home to the Keltherian people. Notice the stable climate. 2 suns provide constant warmth. No extreme weather. No tectonic activity. Evolution here favored intelligence and art over physical survival traits." Warren sat in the front row, his crystal skin gleaming. He looked proud. The image changed to show a water world. "This is Aquilus. The dominant species there evolved gills and echolocation. Predators are small and rare. The environment is gentle." Another planet appeared. Then another. Each one was safe. Each one was kind to its inhabitants. Tai Yang watched and realized something. These aliens had never known real danger. Their worlds had raised them like careful parents, protecting them from harm. Then Earth appeared on the screen. The classroom went quiet. The image showed Earth from space, blue and white and beautiful. But then it zoomed in. A hurricane spun over an ocean. Volcanoes erupted. Lightning split the sky during a storm. A massive wave crashed against the coast. "Earth," Professor Thax said, and his voice was different now. "Careful. Classified as a Class 12 Deathworld. One of the most hostile environments known to produce intelligent life." The displays showed more. Earthquakes that split the ground. Tornadoes that destroyed everything in their path. Wildfires that burned for months. Floods that drowned entire regions. "Earth rotates once every 24 hours, Professor Thax continued. "This causes extreme temperature changes between day and night. It has a large moon that creates powerful tides. The crust is unstable, causing frequent earthquakes and volcanic activity. The atmosphere has high oxygen content, which allows fires to burn intensely and supports very large predators." A new image appeared. A bear, then a tiger, a crocodile, a shark, a snake, an eagle. Each one was enormous, powerful, and deadly. "Humans evolved alongside these creatures," Professor Thax said. "They were prey. They had no claws, no venom, no armor, no speed. They survived through intelligence and something else. Something unique." Warren raised his hand. "What could be unique about being weak?" Professor Thax clicked his mandibles. "Stubbornness. Humans refuse to die. They endure injuries that would kill most species. They survive in environments that would be lethal to others. Their bodies heal from terrible damage. Their minds push through pain and fear. This is their adaptation." Tai Yang felt everyone looking at him. He kept his eyes on the display. "How convenient," Warren said loudly. "A dangerous homeworld. A built-in excuse for poor performance." Some students laughed. Others looked uncomfortable. Professor Thax's antennae twitched with what might have been disapproval, but he said nothing and continued the lecture. After class, Tai Yang gathered his datapad and headed for the door. He wanted to get to the library. He had reading to do for his next class. Tai Yang, wait. Nari caught up with him in the hallway. "Don't listen to Warren. He's an idiot. I know. Do you? Because you look calm, but I've been here longer. I know how this goes. He's going to keep pushing until you react." "Then I won't react," Tai Yang said. Nari grabbed his arm. "It's not that simple. If you do nothing, he wins. If you fight back, You prove his point that humans are violent. There's no good option. Taiyang gently pulled his arm free. There's always an option. I just haven't found it yet. He left Nari in the hallway and made his way to the commissary. He wasn't hungry, but he needed to pick up some supplies for his room. The commissary was part store, part gathering place. Students sat at tables, studying or talking. Others browsed the shelves for snacks and tools. Taiyang was looking at notebooks when he felt someone behind him. He didn't turn around. He already knew who it was. Voron's reflection showed in the metal shelf in front of him. "There's the Deathworld boy," Voron said. His voice was mock-friendly. "Shopping for supplies? Or looking for something to explain all those scars?" Taiyang picked up a notebook and examined it. The price was displayed on a small screen attached to the shelf. Voron moved closer. His friends formed a half-circle behind him. There were 4 of them, all bigger than Taiyang, all from gentle worlds where violence was rare. "I'm curious," Voron continued. "Really curious. How does someone get so many scars? Were you attacked? Did you fall a lot? Or maybe you're just unlucky." Taiyang put the notebook back and reached for a pack of pens. Voron's hand shot out and grabbed Taiyang's wrist. His crystal fingers were hard and cold. He turned Taiyang's arm over, exposing the long white scars that ran from wrist to elbow. "These are interesting," Voron said, tracing one of the scars with his finger. "So many. So ugly. What happened? Tell us the story." The other students in the commissary had stopped what they were doing. Everyone was watching. Taiyang could feel their eyes, their judgment, their curiosity. He looked down at Voron's hand on his wrist. Then he looked up at Voron's face. The crystal boy was smiling, confident. He expected fear. He expected anger. He expected something. Taiyang gave him nothing. His breathing stayed steady. His heart rate didn't increase. His muscles didn't tense. He simply stood there, looking at Voron with calm, dark eyes. "Let go," Taiyang said quietly. "Or what?" Voron challenged. "You'll attack me? Prove everyone right about violent humans?" "No, I'm asking politely." "Let go." Voron's smile faded a little. Something in Taiyang's voice, maybe his eyes, made the crystal boy uncomfortable. He was used to fear. This wasn't fear. This was something else. Something that made his instincts whisper warnings. Voron let go and stepped back. "Whatever. You're not worth the trouble." He walked away, his friends following. But Taiyang saw the confusion on Voron's face. The bully had expected a reaction. Any reaction. Instead, he got stillness. "That was brave," a voice said. Taeyang turned. A girl stood there, human, with a thin face and tired eyes. She looked younger than Nari, but older than Taiyang. "I'm Hannah," she said. "We met briefly yesterday. I remember. You shouldn't have let him touch you. He'll think it's okay to do it again." Taiyang picked up the pens he had been reaching for. "He touched me once. He won't do it again. How can you be sure?" "Because he's scared now. He just doesn't know it yet." Hannah frowned. He didn't look scared. "Fear doesn't always look the same," Taiyang said. He paid for his items at the counter and started to leave. Hannah followed him. "Where did you get those scars? The ones on your arms?" Taiyang stopped walking. For a moment, he didn't answer. Then he said, "A bear. When I was 13, I was hiking with my father in the mountains. We surprised it near its den. It attacked. My father scared it off, but not before it got me." "That sounds terrible." It was. I thought I would die. The cuts were deep. I bled a lot. We were hours from help." He paused. "But I didn't die. I learned that I'm harder to kill than I thought." "Is that what all your scars taught you?" "Yes, every single one. Hannah was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Nari hides hers. She tells me I should too. Cover them up. Don't give people a reason to stare. Do you want to hide them? No, but I do anyway. It's easier. Taiyang looked at her. Nothing about being human is easy. We come from a world that tried to kill us every day. We survived anyway. These scars are proof. He walked away, leaving Hannah standing in the hallway. She looked down at her own arms, covered in long sleeves. Under the fabric, she had scars too. A house fire when she was young. She had pulled her brother out. The burns had healed, but the marks remained. Back in his room, Taiyang sat at his desk and opened his datapad. He had assignments to complete, but his mind kept going back to Varn's face when he didn't flinch. The crystal boy had expected fear. On his gentle world, prey always showed fear, but humans weren't prey. Not anymore. They had been once, thousands of years ago. But they evolved. They learned. They became something new. Something that didn't run from predators. Something that faced them and survived. Taeyang touched the scar on his neck. The riptide. He remembered the water pulling him down, the rocks cutting his skin, the taste of salt and blood. He remembered deciding not to die. Just deciding it. Making it true through will alone. He would need that same will here. Because Voran wasn't done. The bully had been embarrassed today. He would come back. He would push harder. And Taiyang would be ready. The announcement came during morning assembly. All students gathered in the main hall, a space so large that it could hold 1,000 beings. The headmaster, a wise-looking creature with purple skin and 3 eyes, floated above the crowd on a hovering platform. The annual survival tournament will begin in 2 weeks, the headmaster announced. His voice echoed through speakers. This is our most prestigious event. Teams of 6 will enter simulation chambers. They will face hostile environments. They will solve problems. They will survive. The winning team will receive academic honors and recognition across the galaxy. Excited whispers filled the hall. Students loved the tournament. It was a chance to prove themselves, to show their skills, to earn respect. Teams will be randomly assigned, the headmaster continued. Check your datapads for your team members. Training sessions begin tomorrow. Taiyang felt his pad vibrate. He pulled it out and looked at the screen. His team appeared: Taiyang, human Nari, human Hannah, human Seogen, human Yura, Avix Deho, Teneri 4 humans. That was unusual. Most teams had only 1 or 2 members from the same species. And Taiyang recognized one name, Seogen, another human he hadn't met yet. Before he could think more about it, a voice cut through the crowd. I have a proposal. Everyone turned. Voran stood on a bench, making himself visible. His crystal skin caught the light, making him shine like a star. I propose a challenge, Voran said, looking directly at Taiyang. My team against the human team. We'll both enter Category 8 simulations. The highest difficulty. Let's see if Deathworld survivors are really as tough as they claim. The crowd murmured. Category 8 was dangerous. Most teams chose Category 3 or 4. Only the best attempted 8. The headmaster's 3 eyes focused on Voran. You wish to specify simulation difficulty? Yes, both teams. Category 8, same conditions. The headmaster looked at Taiyang. Do you accept? Taiyang didn't hesitate. Yes. Nari, standing next to him, grabbed his arm. Are you crazy? She whispered. Category 8 is designed to be nearly impossible. Then it should be interesting, Taiyang said. Voran smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. Excellent. I look forward to seeing how the Deathworld children perform. After the assembly, Taiyang's team met in a small conference room. Nari was angry. Hana looked worried. The two alien students, Yura and Daeho, seemed terrified. And Sejun, the fourth human, sat quietly in the corner. You shouldn't have accepted, Nari said. Voron set a trap. Category 8 will have multiple danger types. Environmental hazards, predators, natural disasters. It's designed to test every survival skill. Good, Taiyang said. Good? How is that good? Because we're from Earth. Survival is what we know. Sejun spoke for the first time. His voice was soft. He's right. I've been studying the tournament records. Teams from Gentle Worlds struggle with Category 8. They panic. They freeze. They make mistakes. And you think we won't? Hannah asked. I think we grew up on a planet that never let us forget we could die, Sejun said. We learned to stay calm. We learned to adapt. That's our advantage. Yura, the Avix girl, raised a small clawed hand. She was tiny, with feathers that changed color based on her mood. Right now they were pale blue, which meant fear. I'm not a survivor. I barely passed my flight test. I'm weak. You're on this team, Taiyang said. That means you're not weak. It means you're here for a reason. Daeho, the Tantari student, shifted his tentacles nervously. He had chosen a Korean name to honor his literature teacher, who was human. I'm not strong either. My species evolved in calm waters. We avoid conflict. Then you'll learn, Taiyang said simply. We all will. They spent the next 2 weeks training. Every day after classes, they met in the simulation room. They started with Category 1, the easiest level. Then 2, then 3. Each level was harder, but each time, they got better. Taiyang watched his teammates and learned their strengths. Nari had grown up in a coastal region of Earth where typhoons were common. She could read weather patterns, predict storms, understand how wind and water moved. Hana had survived a mountain climbing disaster where 3 people died. She knew terrain, knew how to find safe paths, knew when ground was stable or dangerous. Seo-jun was the surprise. He was quiet and seemed weak, but he understood engineering. He could build shelters from almost nothing. He could create tools from scrap. He had grown up in an area with frequent earthquakes and had learned that the right structure could mean the difference between life and death. Yura was afraid of everything at first. But slowly, she began to trust the humans. They didn't mock her weak flying. They found ways to use her small size and sharp eyes. She could spot dangers from above, see details others missed. Daeho was gentle and kind. His tentacles were dexterous, perfect for delicate tasks. He could tie knots, manipulate objects, reach into small spaces. And he was smart. He remembered everything he read, every detail, every fact. One evening, during a Category 6 simulation, they faced a sudden fire. Flames spread through the virtual forest. Smoke filled the air. Yura panicked and froze, hovering in place. Taiyang reached up and grabbed her gently. Yura, look at me. She looked down, her eyes wide with terror. You're safe, Taiyang said. This is a simulation. But even if it was real, you're with us. We've survived worse. Trust me. She nodded, her feathers slowly changing from white to pale yellow. They escaped the fire. Nari led them upwind. Hana found a rocky area where the flames couldn't reach. Sejun used his jacket to filter smoke for breathing. Daeho helped carry supplies. Yura, once she calmed down, flew ahead and found the safest route. After that simulation ended, they sat in the debriefing room. They were tired but smiling. We work well together, Hana said. We do, Nari agreed. But Category 8 will be different. It won't just be one danger. It'll be everything at once. Tell us about your scars, Yura said suddenly, looking at Taiyang. if it's okay to ask. The one on your neck. What happened? Taiyang touched the scar. A riptide. I was 14, swimming at a beach. The current pulled me out to sea, then dragged me across rocks. I couldn't swim against it. I had to let it take me and wait for a chance to escape. How long? Almost 20 minutes. I thought I would drown. My lungs burned. My body was cut in dozens of places. But I kept thinking, not yet. Not today. And I survived. The ones on your arms? Deho asked. A bear. I told Hannah about that one. I was hiking with my father. We got too close to its den. It attacked. These scars are from its claws. Did it hurt? More than anything I've ever felt. But pain is temporary. Scars are just reminders that you survived. Sejun pulled up his sleeve. His arm showed burn marks, old and faded. House fire. I was 10. I pulled my sister out. The ceiling collapsed on my arm. But she lived. Hannah showed hers next. Similar burns, but on her hands. Same thing. Different fire. My brother was inside. Nari hesitated, then showed a long scar on her leg. Shark. I was surfing. It bit once and let go. I made it to shore. They all looked at each other. 4 humans, each marked by survival. Each carrying proof that they had faced death and won. On my world, Yura said quietly, we don't have scars like this. Nothing ever hurt us. Nothing ever tried to kill us. I feel small next to you. You're not small, Taiyang said. You're just different. Your world was kind. Ours wasn't. That's not your fault. But in the tournament, we'll need you. Your eyes, your speed, your mind. You're part of this team. The day before the tournament, Vorn approached Taiyang in the hallway. His friends weren't with him this time. He stood alone, his crystal body reflecting the lights. You know you're going to lose, Vorn said. Maybe, Taiyang replied. Then why accept? Why embarrass yourself? Taiyang looked at the taller boy. Because you challenged us. And humans don't back down from challenges. It's not in our nature. That's just stubbornness. Yes, it is. Stubbornness kept us alive on Earth. It'll keep us alive in the simulation. Vorin shook his head. You're strange. You don't react like you should. You don't show fear. You don't get angry. What are you? I'm someone from a planet that tried to kill me every day. You can't scare me, Vorin. I've been scared by things you can't imagine. This tournament? It's just a game. That night, Taiyang couldn't sleep. He lay on the floor of his room and thought about tomorrow. Category 8. Maximum difficulty. Everything the simulation could throw at them. He thought about Earth. About the storms and the heat and the cold. About the animals that hunted humans for thousands of years. About the volcanoes and earthquakes and floods. He thought about every scar on his body. Every moment he almost died. Every time he decided to keep living. Tomorrow would be hard. But hard was familiar. Hard was home. He closed his eyes and let the memories wash over him. The bear's claws. The riptide's pull. The fire's heat. Each memory hurt. Each memory taught him something. He was ready. The simulation chamber was massive. It could create entire worlds inside its walls, complete with weather, terrain, and AI-controlled creatures. Taiyang stood with his team at the entrance. They wore standard survival suits, light armor that protected against minor injuries, but wouldn't save them from serious danger. Through the transparent wall, they could see the other teams entering their own chambers. Vorin's team looked confident. They had practiced together for 2 weeks, just like Taiyang's team. But their faces showed excitement, not fear. They thought this would be easy. The headmaster's voice came through speakers. Teams, your objective is simple. Survive for 6 hours. Reach the extraction point. Your performance will be measured by time, injuries, and teamwork. The simulation will begin in 60 seconds. Taiyang looked at his team. Nari checked her equipment. Hannah tested her boots. Seijun adjusted the pack on his back. Yura's feathers had turned dark green, which meant determination. Daeho's tentacles moved in patterns that showed he was thinking, planning. Remember, Taiyang said. Stay together. Trust each other. And don't panic. 30 seconds, the headmaster announced. The chamber's walls began to change. Holographic projectors created a landscape around them. Mountains appeared. Forests grew. A river formed. The sky turned dark with clouds. 10 seconds. Taiyang's heart beat steadily. This was just another day on Earth. Just another survival situation. Begin. The simulation activated fully. The temperature dropped immediately. Cold wind hit them, carrying the smell of rain. Thunder rumbled in the distance. The ground under their feet was rocky and unstable. Category 8 confirmed, a computer voice said. Environmental hazards include seismic activity, severe weather, hostile wildlife, limited resources, and terrain challenges. Good luck. The ground shook. Not hard, but enough to remind them that earthquakes were part of this simulation. Move, Taiyang said. We need to find shelter before the storm hits. They started walking. Nari took the lead, reading the clouds and wind. Storm will be here in 20 minutes. Big one. We need to get off this exposed ridge. Hannah pointed to a cluster of rocks downhill. There, natural shelter. We can wait out the worst of it. They moved quickly but carefully. The ground was loose and rocks shifted under their feet. Yura flew ahead, scouting the path. There's a ravine to the left. Don't go that way. Noted. Seojin said. They reached the rocks just as the first raindrops fell. Within seconds, the rain became a downpour. Lightning split the sky. Wind howled around them. Seojin immediately started arranging rocks to create a better windbreak. Daeho helped, his tentacles moving stones into place with precision. In minutes, they had a crude but effective shelter. This is only the first hour, Nari said, shouting over the storm. It's going to get worse. She was right. After the storm passed, the ground shook again, harder this time. Rocks tumbled down the mountain. A crack appeared in the earth, opening like a wound. Earthquake, Hannah said. We need to move away from unstable ground. They packed quickly and headed downhill. Yura spotted a valley that looked safer. But as they approached, Taiyang held up his hand. Stop. Everyone froze. What is it? Nari asked. Taiyang pointed at the ground ahead. The grass moved wrong. Too organized. Too purposeful. Something's there. Buried or hiding. Daeho's tentacles twitched. The simulation said hostile wildlife. A creature burst from the ground. It was massive, with 6 legs and armored scales. Its mouth opened to show rows of teeth. The AI had designed it to be perfect predator, combining traits from Earth's most dangerous animals. Yura screamed and flew upward. The creature's head tracked her movement. Taiyang stepped forward, putting himself between the predator and his team. He didn't run. He didn't attack. He spread his arms wide, making himself look larger. He maintained eye contact with the creature. Back away slowly, he said to his team. Don't run. Running triggers chase instinct. The creature took a step toward him. Its muscles tensed, ready to spring. Taiyang didn't flinch. He had faced bears. He had faced sharks. He had faced things that wanted to eat him. This was no different. He made a low, rumbling sound in his throat. A warning sound. The kind of sound predators make to each other. The creature paused. Its AI programming was sophisticated. It recognized threat displays. It calculated risk. This small prey was acting like a predator. That was wrong. That was confusing. Taiyang took a step forward. Not aggressive, just confident. Claiming territory. The creature backed up. Then it turned and disappeared into the grass. How did you do that? Yura asked, flying down. Her feathers were pure white with fear. On Earth, prey runs. Predators don't. I convinced it I was a predator. Taiyang looked at Yura. You panicked. That's okay. Fear is natural. But next time, try to stay still. Movement attracts attention. I'm sorry, Yura said. Don't be sorry. Just learn. They continued through the valley. The simulation threw more challenges at them. A flash flood forced them to climb trees. Poisonous plants grew in their path, and Sajun identified them using knowledge from Earth's dangerous flora. A rock slide nearly buried them, but Hana's mountain experience helped her spot the warning sign seconds before it happened. 3 hours into the simulation, they found themselves in a forest fire. Smoke filled the air. Flames spread rapidly, driven by wind. This was the moment Yura had feared. Fire. The thing that paralyzed her in training. But this time, she didn't freeze. She remembered Taiyang's words. She remembered that she was part of a team. She flew up above the smoke and looked for escape routes. There, she called down. A river, northwest, maybe 1 kilometer. Can we make it before the fire cuts us off? Nari asked. If we run, Hana said. They ran. Smoke burned their lungs. Heat pressed against their backs. The fire chased them like a living thing. Seiyujin's legs gave out halfway there. He had never been a strong runner. His childhood was spent recovering from earthquake injuries. Taiyang didn't hesitate. He pulled Seijun's arm over his shoulder. Keep moving. Deho took Seojin's other side. Together, they carried him. They reached the river with seconds to spare. The fire stopped at the water's edge. They collapsed on the far bank, coughing and gasping. 4 hours down, Nari said between coughs. 2 to go. But the simulation wasn't done with them. As they rested, the ground shook again. This time, it didn't stop. The earthquake was massive. Trees fell. The river's course changed. A massive crack opened in the earth, separating them from the direction they needed to go. The extraction point is on the other side, Hana said, checking her data pad. Can we go around? Seojin asked. Not in time. The simulation ends in 90 minutes. Taiyang looked at the crack. It was wide, maybe 10 meters. But there were rocks and fallen trees. We can cross. It'll be dangerous. Everything here is dangerous, Nari said. Let's go. They worked together. Seijun and Deho built a bridge using fallen logs. Hana tested each step, making sure it was stable. Nari watched the crack's edges for signs of further collapse. Yura flew across first, carrying their rope, which they secured on both sides. One by one, they crossed. Yura flew. The humans crawled along the logs. Deho used his tentacles to grip multiple points, moving carefully. They all made it. But they were exhausted, bruised, burned, covered in dirt and cuts. 1 hour left, Taiyang said. We can do this. The final stretch was a steep climb up a mountain to reach the extraction point. Their legs burned. Their lungs ached. But they climbed together, helping each other over difficult sections. With 10 minutes remaining, they reached the top. The extraction point was a flat area marked with a beacon. They had made it. The simulation ended. The mountains and forests disappeared, replaced by the chamber's metal walls. Medical staff rushed in to check them. Minor injuries only, burns, cuts, bruises. Nothing serious. Taiyang's team looked at each other and smiled. They had survived Category 8 in the observation room. Officials reviewed their performance. Their time was recorded. 5 hours and 42 minutes. Not the fastest, but respectable for Category 8. Then Varen's team results appeared. 4 hours and 30 minutes. They had finished faster, but their injury report was extensive. 3 team members had been extracted early due to severe simulated injuries. 2 others had panicked and made dangerous mistakes. They finished faster, but at great cost. The headmaster reviewed both reports. "Interesting," he said. "Very interesting indeed." That evening, rankings were posted. Varen's team was first for speed, but Taiyang's team received the highest teamwork score. They also received 0 critical failures and 0 early extractions. In the final calculation, Taiyang's team placed second overall. Close behind Varen, but far ahead of every other team. It wasn't victory, but it wasn't defeat either. It was proof. Proof that humans belonged here. Proof that Deathworld children could compete with anyone. Taiyang sat in his room that night and looked at his hands. New cuts had joined the old scars. Small ones. They would heal and fade, or maybe they would stay and add to his collection of survival marks. Either way, they were proof. He had survived Category 8. He had helped his team survive. And tomorrow, the galaxy would look at humans just a little bit differently. The morning after the tournament, the academy felt different. Students whispered as Taiyang walked through the hallways. But the whispers weren't mocking anymore. They were curious, respectful. Some students even nodded at him as he passed in the dining hall. Taiyang got his breakfast and looked for an empty table. But before he could sit alone, a group of students called out to him. Not humans, aliens, a Keltharian, an Avix, 2 Tentari, and others. "Sit with us," one said. "We want to hear about the tournament." Taiyang sat. They asked questions. How did you face the predator? How did you cross the crack? How did you stay calm during the fire? He answered simply, honestly. We trained. We trusted each other. We didn't panic. But weren't you afraid? A small Avix asked. Of course. Fear keeps you alert. Fear helps you survive. But terror makes you freeze. We learned the difference. More students gathered around the table. They wanted to know about Earth, about the storms and predators, about what it was like to grow up on a Deathworld. It's all we knew, Taiyang said. You can't miss safety if you've never had it. You just learn to be careful. Always careful. One student, a blue-skinned Aquilus, asked about his scars. Do they hurt? Not anymore. They hurt when they happened. But now they're just marks. We don't have scars on my world, the Aquilus said. Nothing ever hurt us enough to leave marks. That sounds nice, Taiyang said honestly. Maybe. But watching you in the tournament, you weren't just surviving. You were comfortable. Like the danger was normal. It is normal. For us, the conversation continued through breakfast. Other humans started arriving. Nari, Hana, Seijin. They joined the table, and soon it became a gathering point. Students asked questions. Humans answered. Walls began to break down, but Voran wasn't there. His table sat across the hall, empty except for his closest friends. They ate in silence, not celebrating their first-place finish. Classes that day were strange. Teachers treated Taiyang differently. They called on him more often. They asked for his perspective. In survival skills class, the instructor asked him to demonstrate how to build a shelter with minimal materials. Taiyang showed them, with Seojin's help. The alien students watched carefully, taking notes. On Earth, Taiyang explained, we can't always wait for rescue. Sometimes there is no rescue. You have to save yourself. That sounds lonely, one student said. It's not lonely if you have people you trust. That's why teamwork matters. My team survived because we helped each other. After class, Yura found Taiyang in the hallway. Her feathers were bright yellow, which meant happiness. Thank you, she said. For what? For believing I could do it. For not giving up on me when I panicked. You didn't panic in the end. You flew above the fire and found the river. You saved us. Because you taught me, I could. She flew away, leaving Taiyang alone in the hallway. He felt something strange. Pride, maybe? Or satisfaction. His team had learned. They had grown. Even the aliens had become stronger. Evening came. Taiyang went to the observation deck, his favorite place. It was a large room with windows showing the stars. He liked to sit there and think. He wasn't alone. Voran stood at the far window, his crystal body reflecting starlight. He didn't turn when Taiyang entered, but he spoke. I watched your team's recordings, Voran said. All 5 hours and 42 minutes. Taiyang didn't respond. He walked to a different window and looked at the stars. You should have panicked, Voran continued. Multiple times. The earthquake. The predator. The fire. Any one of those should have broken your team. But they didn't? No, they didn't. Voran turned to face him. His crystalline face was hard to read, but his voice carried confusion. I don't understand. My team had better equipment. Better training. We finished faster. But we failed. You didn't fail. You finished first. 3 of my teammates were injured so badly they had to be extracted. We abandoned them. We prioritized speed over safety. That's failure. Taiyang looked at him. Why does it matter what I think? Because I challenged you. I mocked you. I wanted you to fail. Voran's voice was quieter now. But you didn't. You just existed. You didn't fight me. You didn't run. You didn't show fear. Why? Taiyang thought about the question. It was a good question. He turned back to the stars. On Earth, there are predators everywhere. Big cats, bears, sharks, crocodiles. For thousands of years, they hunted us. We were prey. I know this. We studied it in class. What you don't know is what it feels like to be prey. To know that something wants to eat you. To know you're not the strongest or the fastest. Taiyang touched the scar on his neck. When I was 14, a riptide pulled me into the ocean. It dragged me over rocks. I couldn't fight it. I had to accept it. I had to wait for my chance. What does that have to do with me? You're like the riptide. You wanted me to fight. To struggle. But fighting a riptide kills you faster. You have to stay calm. Wait. Survive. Voran was quiet for a long moment. So, I was just another predator to you. Yes, and predators lose interest when prey doesn't act like prey. Is that what you think I am? A predator? Taiyang shook his head. No, you're someone from a gentle world who doesn't understand. Your planet never hurt you. Your life was safe. You learned to compete, to be the best, to win. But you never learned to survive. And you have. Yes, every day. Voran walked closer. In the starlight, his crystal skin looked less intimidating. More fragile. I owe you an apology. I mocked your scars. I called you weak. I was wrong. Yes, you were. That's it. No forgiveness? Taiyang looked at him directly. I don't need to forgive you. You need to forgive yourself. You learned something in that tournament. You learned that winning isn't the same as surviving. What you do with that lesson is up to you. Voran nodded slowly. Your team. How did you do it? How did you stay together? We trusted each other. We knew each other's strengths. When someone fell, we helped them up. That's what teams do. My team. We left people behind to save time. I know. I saw the reports. Would you have done the same? No, never. Why not? Because on Earth, leaving someone behind means they die. We don't do that? We can't. Survival isn't individual. It's collective. Voron turned back to the window. They stood in silence for a while, just looking at stars. Finally, Voron said, I want to be better. To understand this. Can you teach me? Teach you what? How to survive. Not just in simulations, but really survive. The way you do. Taiyang thought about it. Then he said, first lesson. Stop trying to be the strongest. Start trying to be the stubbornest. Strength runs out. Stubbornness doesn't. That's it. That's the beginning. Voron left shortly after. Taiyang stayed at the window, watching stars. He thought about home, about Earth, about the storms and animals and all the dangers that made humans what they were. The next day, an announcement came. The academy was changing its curriculum. They were adding new courses about survival, about teamwork, about staying calm under pressure. They specifically mentioned the human students would help develop the program. Nari found Taiyang after the announcement. They're taking us seriously now. They should. We earned it. Do you think it'll last? The respect? Maybe. Maybe not. But we showed them what we can do. That's enough. Hannah and Saijan joined them. Then Yura and Deho. The team sat together in the commissary, eating and talking. Other students approached, asking questions, wanting to join their study groups. The academy was changing. Slowly, carefully, but changing. A week later, new human students arrived. 3 of them, younger than Taiyang. They looked scared as they walked through the halls. Students stared at them, curious about these newcomers from the Deathworld. Taiyang approached one of the new students, a girl with nervous eyes. I'm Taiyang. Welcome to Celestial Academy. I'm Minho, she said. Is it hard here? Sometimes. But you're from Earth. Hard is what we know. She nodded, still uncertain. Let me give you advice, Taiyang said. Don't hide who you are. Don't hide where you're from. Don't hide your scars if you have them. They'll stare at first, but they'll learn to respect you. Just be yourself. Be human. That's enough. Minho looked down at her hands. She had scars too. Small ones. She started to pull her sleeves down. Don't, Taiyang said gently. Scars are proof you survived. They're proof you're strong. Never be ashamed of them. She stopped and let her sleeves stay where they were. Over the following weeks, more students approached Taiyang. They asked about Earth, about survival, about being human. He answered their questions honestly. He told them stories about Earth's dangers, but also about its beauty. The storms were terrible, but the sunsets after storms were magnificent. The predators were deadly, but the ecosystems were complex and wonderful. He taught them the Deathworlds weren't just about death. They were about life fighting to exist against impossible odds. And winning. Voron changed too. He became quieter, more thoughtful. He started asking questions instead of making assumptions. He joined study groups with humans. He learned. One day, months after the tournament, Voron showed Taiyang something. A small scar on his hand. He had gotten it during training, a minor cut that healed badly. My first scar, Voron said. It's nothing compared to yours. Every scar starts small, Taiyang said. What matters is what it teaches you. What did this one teach me? I don't know. What did it teach you? Voron looked at the mark. That pain is temporary. That healing is possible. That marks don't mean weakness.